Hello, welcome to Bikini Design Club. Today we will be sewing the tie one piece. I'm sorry because it is still in this paper. My pattern is not ready yet, but it will once this video is released. So this is our back piece, this is our strap, and this is our front piece. In this case we have a fold on the front piece, but we don't have a fold on the back because, as you can see, we will have a center seam on the back bottom. This is not a reversible item. This is discussed in many groups and with Stuart, that I love his teaching. And so this is not a reversible, and you will see that it will fit perfectly. I'm not sure if it's going to fit on larger sizes, so please be sure to check against all the other patterns that you have, because we really don't know how this fits on larger size. So let's start cutting our fabrics as we always do. I will use this blue one for the self fabric, and I will use white lining fabric. So let's start by cutting our fabrics. The straps, I want to make them with the self fabric on both sides. So for the straps, instead of cutting two straps from the self fabric and for the lining, I will cut 4 from the self fabric, but this is optional. You can do whatever you prefer. Another thing that I still didn't update on my patterns, but I will with time, is regarding the seam allowance. It's been a debate about the sizes of the seam allowances, and I'm still using 7 millimeters, 6-7 millimeters seam allowance, but I know that many of you would prefer to have a wider seam allowance. So in the future I will try to make this with 1 centimeter seam allowance, but for now please know, and it will be on the description on the pattern, that the pattern includes the allowance, but it's really not that much. Of course you need to cut while you sew, but we believe that you will cut 1 or 2 millimeters only, and that's it. In this case, that's it. So 2 of them, and now 2 again. Now we have our 2 front pieces, the self fabric and the lining, and 4 back pieces, because as I told you before, we have a center back seam, so we need to have the cuts here in the middle, so it's not a fold. And then we have 4 for the straps, 2 on the self fabric and 2 again on the self fabric, because I decided to do them both sides in blue, in the self fabric. So let's start by attaching our bottom with the other side of the bottom. In this case it doesn't matter the direction of the print, because it doesn't have any logo or anything or design or whatever, or a print. It's a plain fabric, so just put right sides facing together and pin the center back seam for the front and also for the lining piece, and let's sew. Back pieces are together, so now we have a back piece for the lining and for the self fabric. So now let's prepare to combine our back with our front, so right sides facing together, and we will pin the sides, and also here the sides, and we will do the same for the lining. So to optimize our time, let's also place the straps on top. Don't forget that the straps are not don't have the same size in the front and on your back. So please make sure that this is the correct size. But if you would put it on the other way, you would see it. It doesn't fit. So let's pin the both straps for the self fabric and for the lining, and let's sew the sides and the straps on the lining and self. So the straps are attached and the sides are also attached. Now let's sew our straps to the back piece. So we cross them, we make sure they are straight and correct, and right sides facing together. We pin and we sew both of them, only for the self fabric, because before we do this for the lining piece, actually this is my option, but of course there are many other options, and I always say this on my videos. I'm just an amateur. I didn't learn how to sew on a proper school, so I'm sure there are other methods and things that I'm doing wrong, but this is the best that I can, and it's the best that I can tell you and let you know how I do it. Let's also sew the crotch area. So we will do three things: the back straps and the crotch area. The crotch area we can actually already sew on the lining piece also, but don't do the back straps yet, just the crotch. So you can already see the shape of your swimsuit. It's getting almost ready. So I reversed the self fabric, the main fabric to the correct side, and our lining piece the seams we will insert with the seams facing outwards. So we will insert it inside here. We can align the crotch. I'm just gonna put a pin for now like this. I'm gonna do the back straps now. So aligning everything, we will have, so this is the main fabric and this is the lining. This is easier for me because like this I can see exactly what I'm doing, and I'm sure that I will put my straps on the correct way. So despite the video is in fast forward, you could see that I took some time aligning the back straps to make sure that they are secure and they are on the correct way. So now I'm gonna just sew the back straps and we will be back. here we are again. So now that you remember that we had a pin on the crotch area, so we will need to align our swimsuits with our lining on the outside, because we will apply, at least that's what I do. I apply the elastic on my lining sides when I'm not doing reversible pieces, because I prefer for the perfect finish, not for us not to see the elastic. So align all your swimsuit, and we will pin everything that we will sew, and we will sew basically everything. So let's sew. We have a lot. Let's pin. We have a lot of places to pin. So I started by doing only the leg holes, both of them. If you want to be really precise, as I like to be most of the times, please lean your seam towards one side. Usually I do it to the back side, both of them, but make sure that when you go on that line upwards, you do exactly the same. The same here. If you lean your seam to one side, then don't forget that if you do that on this side you should do exactly the same. So now let's go to our sewing machine and apply the elastic at the same time that we are sewing the 2 layers. So 2 layers and the elastic on both leg holes. So we've done our leg holes. Let's pin all the rest, and so let's pin all the rest very patiently, because this is a lot, but okay. Okay, I stopped pinning to let you know that I did this wrong despite all. Oh my god. Okay, so it's fine. I will take it off. So as you can see, I did my sewing on the wrong side. This should be like this, right? So this is not in touch with my body once the swimsuit is finished. So I'm gonna take this seam out. I'm gonna do it again, and sewing of course on the correct side, so that the wrong sides of the fabric face together and not like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this and then continue pinning. Okay, so now we are ready to go to our sewing machine, and let's sew all around with the elastic placed on top of the lining. I've sewed all around, so now we need to go to our, at least that's how I do it. I go to my straight stitch machine, I use the zigzag stitch, I use the thread with the same color. I fold like this, and very carefully I do a zigzag stitch all around the seams.
I'm gonna show you how it turned. I'm not gonna show you this blue one because I made a few changes, and so I'm gonna share with you the original pattern so you can see the results of this pattern once it's done. And I hope you've enjoyed this video today. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.